Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today. At D23, Disney not only released the trailer for its remake of The Little Mermaid starring biracial black actress Halle Bailey, it also released an announcement for a new movie featuring an Afro Latina princess called Wish. Now, this Wish movie is going to be featuring Academy Award winning actress Ariana DeBose, who is going to be doing the voice of Disney Princess Asha, who is an Afro Latina princess. And this movie is supposed to be another effort by Disney to add some so called diversity to its line of Disney princesses. Now, when I take a critical examination of Disney's announcement of this Wish movie, it basically shows me that your Disney has no faith in a black audience to support a Disney princess. Now, I find it interesting that your Disney has no faith in supporting a movie with a black princess that comes from black culture after black audiences came out in large numbers to go see Black Panther in 2018. Now, your Black Panther went on to become the #1 movie in America and the world in 2018 and showed the world that there is an audience for a fantasy movie like a Disney princess movie as related to black audiences. So your Disney is still copping out on the whole concept of a black Disney princess, because when I see what they're doing with Wish is what they're trying to do is trying to appeal to your Latino audiences because they don't have faith in black audiences to come out here and support a black princess. So what Disney wants to do is go out here and create a black and brown coalition for a princess movie. And again, what they're doing is showing how they have absolutely no faith in the black audience, and they don't have the confidence to go out here and take a risk on a film that features an all-black cast and features themes that are relatable to black audiences. So when I look at your Wish, again, it looks like another cop-out film, just like the Princess and the Frog back about a decade and a half ago, where yes, you got a black princess in Tiana, but this princess wasn't coming from royalty, and even worse, she didn't even have a black male love interest. So your Princess and the Frog was technically a black princess film, but it really wasn't a black princess film because there was very little black culture to that movie, and the princess wasn't even a princess for most of the film. I mean, your Tiana was a frog for a good 60 to 70% of the film, and they didn't even allow her to have her humanity. So I have to wonder, will Disney with Wish go out here and turn your Asha into some sort of animal for a good chunk of the film so that people won't see the human as related to this story? That's a critical question I want to ask as related to this Wish movie, which is already, as I see it, starting out on bad footing, because you're saying, oh, we're making an Afro-Latina princess, but black audiences, what we want is a story with a black princess, and we want a black princess who is from a fantasy black community. We want to see a fantasy black family. We want to see a black prince as her love interest. That is what most black audiences want. We don't want these either like your hand-me-down Little Mermaid, where she's the only black person and she's only biracial black, and then she's out here talking about how she wants to be part of a white world. No, we don't want the hand-me-downs. We don't want the token characters like Tiana, who aren't even allowed to be human for most of the movie, and we don't want to be having to say, oh, we have to take a Afro Latina, so we have to take a character with a Latino character, and we have to have our princess with a Latino audience. I mean, when I look at the way Disney is talking about this Wish movie, it reminds me so much of what your Joe Biden said to most of those black leaders in 2020 when he told the black leaders that they would have to go out here and work with the Hispanic community in order to get any sort of tangibles or tangible representation. And what Disney is doing here right now with Wish is doing the exact same thing, having it where black people have to piggyback on to a Latina character in order to get black representation, and I want no part of that covert contract. No, I know that it's possible for someone to go out here and create a black princess because I put fingers to the keyboard myself and did this with Easting the Sands of Time. With Easting the Sands of Time, I went out here and wrote a story in the style of your Disney princesses with a black character, and with that black character I showed that you could show ancient Egypt from a black perspective, and you could also show a black princess coming from a black pharaoh and a black queen, and you could also show her with a black male love interest. So I know it's possible to go out here and do this, and I know it's also possible to make commentaries like they did with Aladdin and many other films as related to black culture, because I did this with Easting the Sands of Time. I showed that it is possible to go out here and tell this kind of story, and it's possible to tell this kind of story and make it very entertaining. And what your Disney, they don't want to go out here and do with your Disney princesses is add that black character and show that there is a black culture, because what they want black girls to do is continue buying into white culture, and that's what's happening sadly with this whole Little Mermaid remake. You have little black girls buying into the idea of becoming a white woman and also believing that they have to be part of a white world and get white acceptance from a white man. And again, these are toxic frames of thinking for a young black girl to get early on in her age, because what happens when she's in her youth imbibing these toxic Disney princess movies is she's learning to the only way that she can function is to be either a chocolate covered white girl like Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid, or she needs to be accepted by white people, and that's not a healthy frame of thinking for a girl to have growing up. It's not healthy for her to grow up watching this type of media or believing, because this type of media will have her believing that she's second best, because when you sit there and say, oh, we're making an Afro-Latina princess, what you're saying is that this black girl has to go out here and get behind somebody who's Latina instead of going out here and having a character all her own. Because that's really what most people want in the black community. We want a Disney princess movie, again, that features a black princess who has black parents and has a relationship with her black father, and also is in a black community that is fictional. And we also want to see a black male love interest, because when you have all of those elements, it teaches that girl to love herself, and it teaches her that she can be a princess in a world that full of people. It teaches her that yes, there are black princesses and there are black cultures, and this is what I did in Easting the Sands of Time. I showed you an ancient Egypt that is mostly black, and I show you an ancient Egyptian community that is similar to the black community, and I also show you, again, a black male prince in the John Haynes character. And I wanted to, again, do this to show that this can be done, but your Disney, again, is afraid to do it, even though there's an audience there that is ready to go out here and buy this, because Black Panther showed us that there was an audience, and it showed us that there's an international audience ready to go out here and support this product. I mean, with Black Panther's success, we've seen that the audience is ready, and from my own personal experience, seeing people all over the world pick up books like Easting the Sands of Time and many other SJS Direct books, I know that the audience is there. It's just that your companies like Disney don't want to produce the product because they're afraid that not of failure, but what they're afraid of is people looking up to black princesses, and they're afraid of white girls looking up to a black princess and admiring them. This is the same frame of thinking that led to the sabotage of the Static Shock show back in the early 2000s. And I remember when Static Shock was the number one show in all of America. And it was white kids were looking up to the Virgil Hawkins Static character, and the character was becoming just as popular as Spider-Man. But what your Warner Brothers did was they wanted to cut off Virgil's momentum before he could go mainstream, and they did this by one, not going out here and allowing a toy line to be licensed, and two, they went out here and cut the show off at the fourth season, just as it was continuing to build more momentum. Whenever there's a concept that the corporate bosses don't like, they'll go out here and cut it off at the knees, like they did with Static Shock, and they don't really want a black Disney princess to start building momentum unless they can put their white supremacist narratives in the character, like they did with Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid, because Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid is basically a white supremacist concept, and it promotes the idea that your white supremacists want to see a black woman who was out here submitting to a white male father, and then going out here and looking for a white male prince. They don't really want to go out here and promote the idea of a black princess looking for a black man, because if you promote black love, that's something that the white supremacist doesn't want people to see in his media, because if people see a black woman looking at a black man, then they can't foster ideas of inferiority, and that's what I believe they want to do with this Wish movie, which is all about Disney's so-called wishing on a star. But again, it's all about promoting anti-black narratives, and that's what I see in The Little Mermaid, that's what I saw in Princess and the Frog, and that's what I saw in the Brandy and Whitney Houston version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. Again, all fairy tales, but not fairy tales that promote the empowerment of black people, or fairy tales that promote the improving the self-esteem of young black girls. That's something I try to do in my books, like the Eastdean Fairy Tale story or the Eastdean Sands of Time story. I always try to foster stories that show a positive image to black girls, but your Disney says it can't do this, but I can do this on a shoestring budget, but Disney can't do it even though they've got billions of dollars, and they say, oh, we can't do this film, even in the face of all of the success of Black Panther. But I believe if somebody were to give me $100 million, I could go out here and produce a black princess movie, and produce a black princess movie that promotes, again, a positive black culture like ancient Egypt, promotes a positive image of a black girl, and promotes a positive image of a black family and black love. I believe I could go out here and do that if I had $100 million. I believe I could make that film, and I believe if I did make that film, it would be just as big as Black Panther, because the audience is there. But again, companies like Disney don't want to do this because it's not because it doesn't make them money, it's because it doesn't promote the image of a princess, and their image of a princess is anyone who is of royalty has to submit to white supremacy, and in order to be a princess, you need to be worshiping white people and not being a black woman who can stand up for herself. Now, if you want to pick up my positive stories featuring a black princess, Eastdean, The Sands of Time, you can find that book on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read Eastdean, The Sands of Time for free. And if you want to pick up some of the other stories in the Eastdean series and the Isis series, both of these characters are princesses. You can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashware, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me do more videos about animation, comic books, science fiction, or fantasy, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, the Beauty Myth. Learn the beauty secrets of the goddess next door in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, the Beauty Myth at online booksellers everywhere today.